Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today I'm going to be talking about the journey from girlhood into womanhood, and I'm going to be talking about my experience with that. This video is going to be unscripted. I'm just talking directly to my audience right now because I want to be candid about it. I don't feel the need to script this video or make it any more poetic or floral than it needs to be. I also wanted to do it like this because I felt that being more direct about it was a little bit more honest. But the transition from girlhood into womanhood is a complex topic for me. I feel at 26 like I'm still making that transition. I feel like there is a certain level of independence that you need to have in order to feel like a mature woman. And I feel like I didn't have that for a very, very long time. I think a lot of being a woman is being able to be alone and to know yourself and know what you want. And I think that that guides your decision making, but that also makes you appear more feminine, more mature, and more womanly whenever you are able to make decisions for yourself, when you're able to live alone, whenever you're able to choose. And choice, of course, is a very big part of being a woman, isn't it? Especially politically. So I think that being completely independent as a person is very, very important to my development of being a woman and transitioning from girlhood into womanhood. I also feel that it's necessary to, with your parents and family members and friends, is to have very, very firm boundaries with them as to what is appropriate and what is not, how they speak to you, what kinds of activities that you engage in, and that transition into a different kind of language of how you speak to people, how you have people speak to you. I think that's very important. I myself hate feeling infantile. I hate feeling like I don't know things, or I don't like it whenever people talk to me like I don't know anything about the world. That makes me feel very girlish, and so I make it a point to be intelligent, to be well-versed, and to be experienced in the world, and to go out and to experience things. So my choices are not only my choices because I make them, but because I have the experience to have merit. So choice and experience have a lot to do with feeling, at least for me, have a lot to do with my transition from girlhood to womanhood. And that was very delayed for me because I was in a relationship with somebody for a very long time, and I didn't have to really work very much, and I was somewhat dependent on that person. And for a long time, I felt like I was being led rather than me pioneering my own path. And I don't like to feel led anymore. I don't like to have my hand held when it comes to my path in life. And if you feel that way, if you feel that you want someone to possibly hold your hand through your passage, then maybe it's time to make that transition into womanhood if you feel like it's too late. I think that there is, in the media today, there are a lot of these strange micro trends that are surfacing that have to do with girl things. And I personally think that those are kind of unhealthy and weird. And I think that they are a product of society feeling infantile. I think that we should steer clear from those kinds of obsessions on social media. I think that those are probably inhibiting you from feeling like a woman, and labeling things girl, like girl dinner or girl makeup or whatever. I think that that's not helping you in any way. It's just probably making you feel like more comfortable in a situation that makes you feel very uncomfortable. And I don't think there's anything good with that. I think you should be dispelling with even calling yourself a girl. You should call yourself a woman. I think that was a big thing for me. I felt for a long time, up until I was ready, that I felt weird calling myself a woman when I'm very much a woman. I'm 26, almost 27 years old, so I'm very much a woman. But it took me a minute to develop the courage to be able to say that about myself. And I think that's important to touch on its own, that you shouldn't feel in the opposite direction. You shouldn't feel rushed to feel like a woman. You shouldn't be 16 years old and feeling like you have to do all these womanly things in order to be more mature, to feel like a woman. There is absolutely no rush to grow up. And I'm the first person to tell you that there is so much pressure to feel that way. I'm very thankful for my parents, though, for wrestling me back in that department a little bit, for prohibiting me from wearing certain types of makeup or certain types of clothing, because in a way, I think that this contributed to a more healthy version of womanhood and being able to become a woman in my own time rather than feeling forced into a trend or forced to do certain things. So I think coming into womanhood on your own schedule is something that you need to consider. It took me a very long time. Like I said, there are days where I still don't feel totally like a woman because of the lack of control in my life. That's the last frontier that I think that I need to face on my journey. But as far as everything else, feeling comfortable in my skin, feeling like a sexual person, feeling autonomous and intelligent and all those things, I feel like I'm very much in my element now. And I guess this is probably the part where I can tell you all the steps, really, or the points, these milestones, which I've been talking about on my channel for years now. My process of transitioning from girlhood into womanhood was one through ritual, one through understanding what femininity is when it comes to philosophy, our nature, our bodies, our bodily functions. Even something as silly as not being on birth control or being on it and knowing what your body feels like as a woman with hormones and without hormones and feeling more connected to your natural self. Something like doing your makeup or learning what looks good on you and fashion and cosmetic choices. Those were huge things for me when it comes to transitioning from being a girl into being a woman. Taking care of yourself and making the time to take care of yourself is absolutely tantamount when it comes to being a woman. I mean, I think so many women that watch my channel and have idealized women in their life have probably idealized their mother first, and I did. I watched and saw my mother and how much time she took to get ready, and my greatest memories of my mother are always her perfume and the smell of her skin and her cosmetics and her clothes and how soft they were. And those are some of my most important memories from my childhood. And even now, I still like those things about my mother. Those are important to just my bonding and my connection with her. So I think those cosmetic things have a lot to do with womanhood because they make you look and feel like a woman, but they also attract people to you, and people are enjoying your presence because of this the theatricality of being a woman, and cosmetics and dress and perfume and all of those things. That was so key to feeling feminine and feeling like a woman rather than a girl. You don't miss things anymore. You take the time to bathe and do your hair and your makeup and pick out your outfit and feel good and treasure yourself and honor yourself every day. Whenever I was more girlish, I would say that I didn't care about those things very much, and then I slacked on those things. Maybe you can do that whenever you're younger and you can still look immaculate every day, but there is a carelessness that you carry with you, but a woman feels complete because she cares. You can tell that a woman is fully solid because of that routine that she has every day. She's put herself together. I personally love that, and I love taking time out of my day now to do that for myself and to feel that way about myself. Whereas whenever I was a girl, I really didn't care. I read the literature and I paid attention to women that I admired and how they got ready, and I made it a point to learn about what looked good on me and what flattered me, and that knowledge was priceless to me. And I felt like I was performing some kind of ceremony to get me from girlhood into womanhood. And it feels like that every day, a diamond in the rough. So those milestones of learning about what it is to be a woman when it comes to how you look and even how you speak, how you conduct yourself in everyday life, learning about that made me transition. It's kind of when you start not just taking your femininity and exploiting it, you're just transition from girlhood into womanhood, I guess, when you start to become aware of what you are and what you have, and you nurture it, you take care of it, you ritualize it, and you honor it. That knowledge is acquired over time, and it's also acquired whenever you start having interest in it. And funny enough, as much as I'd like to say that my true journey into womanhood had to do with my mother, it really had to do with my lover at the time a few years ago, who gave me a book. It was a Jungian book about the sacred prostitute, and it talked about the love goddess, and which sounds crazy, but the knowledge that is in that book about sacred prostitution has a lot to do with the very ancient, archaic ideas of femininity and womanhood. And it was a man who gave me that book and who introduced me into a deeper level of understanding of what it is to be a woman. So don't ever underestimate a male component in your life offering you wisdom into your own femininity. It's important to know that men and women have each other, a little bit of each other within of their opposite. Sometimes it'll be the man that'll give you the guidance and that will help you. And that goes for it even sexually too, and sensually. A lot of women like to say that they don't need a man or whatever. The transition from girlhood into womanhood was not only cosmetics and dress and what it is to feel like a woman, but it has a lot to do with attraction and desire. And learning from another lover, I was able to make that voyage into myself and into what I desired and what I wanted. It kind of goes back into what I was talking about earlier, about how being a woman is about your choices, and it is about your decision making and how mature you are and your merit in your choices. And when it comes to desire, I think being a woman is instead of being a girl, is saying, I know what I want, I know how to get it, and I know how to share myself with another person in a healthy way. And it also takes a really good man to do that, first and foremost. I think that a lot of women, unfortunately, like myself, in the past, have been introduced to men that are not gentlemen, and they are not serious or sweet or dignified in any way. And a lot of men, especially when you're like in your high school years, a lot of those guys don't have your best interests at heart. And they might not be the best people to get your information from about yourself. So it took very good men in my life, and I'm very, very fortunate that I met those men. It took wonderful, wonderful, true, honest, dignified men in my life to walk with me on my journey into womanhood. A lot of women like to say that they don't need a man and all this. But I think having that opposite in your life, an adventure with that person into love or into intimacy, whatever it may be, is extremely important in your development. And it definitely was for me. But I think I wanted to make this video especially because I think it's very difficult for women to discern what being a woman really is, because there's so much information out there, and there's TikTok and Instagram and body goals and standards, and there's a lot of information to sift through when it comes to what the ideal is, or how you should behave, or how you should view yourself. And I really, really would like to think that my channel and the videos that I post sit kind of above all of that hysteria down here. Hopefully my testimony here, I guess, can provide, like the rest of my videos, provide a little bit of a clearer image of what it feels like to transition from girlhood into womanhood, or even what it feels like to be a woman once you get there, and the further reaches of that, my last video was talking about even the darker parts of womanhood and that kind of that solitude, your choices, how you feel, that there is a very dark end to that too. And realizing that, realizing you're a deeper, greater unknown within yourself that is also around you too, and that chaos of being feminine and womanly. And there are dark extremes to that too once you get into womanhood, especially if you're not married, especially if you don't have a boyfriend, if you're not tethered to a man, or you don't have a solid foundation. There's a lot of dangerous pitfalls in being a woman and being intelligent and aware. And so it's not all it's not all rainbows and butterflies over here, but it is surely a really, really beautiful place to be, though, despite all of the danger and all of this freedom. I always say that I'm very proud to be a woman. I've never wanted to be a man. I feel that we are able to do anything that we want, really. We can shapeshift into whatever needs that are asked of us and whatever we need from ourselves. And I think our creativity is like unbridled, and I kind of liked that being a woman meant being a little bit convoluted and a little bit strange and unknowable. Girlhood is a different kind of wilderness, and that way it's feeling very two-dimensional. You feel kind of just this bunch of cells, and then you're growing into this thing that becomes self-aware. And I'd just say, if you are a girl now, enjoy your lack of awareness. Enjoy the frivolousness of being young and silly and ignorant. Use your youth. Do not grow up too early, because you can do really silly, dumb things and blame it on your youth. But once you're a certain age, you have to kind of take responsibility for your choices, for who you are, who you present to the world. So enjoy youth. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say. I think this hit a pretty long time. Yeah, like a half hour. But like with all my videos, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you guys enjoyed this more sincere video where I'm talking to you more directly. Please leave your comments below, of course, as to what you thought of this video. And of course, your own journey from girlhood into womanhood, or wherever you're at in girlhood or in womanhood. Please do share your stories below and what you thought of what I said. And do not forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.